What's up, everybody? Good afternoon, and welcome into Group Chat Football Live. This is our channel, Group Chat Sports. Remember to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for the latest in transfer portal, recruiting, and much more in college football. D, I got to say, man, this has not been as crazy of a portal cycle or portal window, I should say, as maybe we thought it would be before, this all started a couple weeks ago when the portal opened back up. Today, it actually closes in terms of players entering the portal. So everyone who's already in there can still take their time, make their decisions as they please before their next enrollment period, which for a lot of them is here. A lot of guys is here in May for the first summer enrollment period. Some people still have to finish graduation, so it might be a little bit later than that. But haven't been too many huge names that we maybe didn't expect.
No, not so far. Now, it could be a negotiated to the buzzer, right? And we might hear a flurry of activity today, later tonight. But to this point, it hasn't been as electric as last year's cycle, and really as the winter, which is pretty exciting here for this season. But there's still time on the clock. Recruiting is picking up, though. We got a lot to get to on that front.
We'll start with a transfer portal name, though. One of the best young offensive linemen, one of the best young centers in the country last year. Cash Cleveland from Colorado has made his decision, and he is transferring to a popular spot, maybe the most popular spot this offseason in terms of transfer portal guys, and that is Texas Tech, who I think we can pretty much say they've had the best class on paper.
Yeah, they are absolutely killing it, and particularly killing it on the offensive line. We talk a lot of Texas Tech on this show. Like and subscribe if you are a fan of the Red Raiders, because we were talking a ton of Texas Tech, but there's a good reason for that. Look at Howard Sampson, big boy out of UNC, Hunter Sembrano, somebody that from South Florida, I watched in high school. He developed into something beyond what anyone expected and was one of the top players in the portal. Will Jados as well, veteran player. So you've added a lot on the offensive line. Then you go and land a freshman All-American from the Colorado Buffaloes, Cash Cleveland, same conference. You're getting a guy who's dominated the same level of competition, or at least excelled against the same level of competition. You look at last year as a true freshman. This is a former walk-on, 296 offensive snaps, 234 pass blocking snaps, only one sack, one quarterback hit, and 2 hurries. And again, this is a Colorado offensive line that had their share of hurries. Cash Cleveland stabilized that center position, played 3 years of high school ball at Rockwell, Texas, at Heath High School, and then transferred to IMG. So this is a huge addition. Again, you watch his tape, pretty easy to project what he's going to do for Texas Tech because same conference. And look at the graphic with the cash flowing around. Obviously, that's representative of his name, but also to reflect what's happening in Lubbock.
I was gonna say it's all because his name's Cash, and nothing to do with what's happening at Texas Tech. Which again, we're excited for the program. But just looking at that class right now, 19 incoming transfers, the number one portal class in the country according to 247. Let me pull the rankings up here. So as you see here, you got 19 commits, but most points here. So bringing them with the number one class on 247 ahead of LSU, Ole Miss, Oregon, and Miami at number 5, running out of the top 5 there. But 12 4 stars out of those 19. So a nice ratio.
That was the number I was going to point to, because a lot of times when you see these big giant portal classes, a lot of times it's a team that just completely stinks and they got a new coach and they were just getting guys to get guys and they didn't get the quality. When you talk about 12 4-star players out of 19, that is huge. Even in this second portal period, you get Cash Cleveland as a freshman All-America, David Bailey, maybe the best portal guy in this entire class for Texas Tech, the Stanford edge rusher with tremendous NFL potential, 6'3", 250. Add him after everything that happened at Stanford with the coaching change. And that just goes on top of some of the big moves that you made in the winter period of Bryce Pollock, the very talented cornerback from Mississippi State, Howard Sampson we talked about, Quinton Joyner, probably my favorite player in this class, the 5'11", 216, a ball of muscle, originally from Texas, went to Southern California, and somebody with a tremendous burst and explosiveness. Romello Height, a highly valued pass rusher out of the ACC. Lee Hunter, the big defensive tackle from UCF. These are all guys that had major interest. Terrence Carter, pass catching tight end, kind of all-purpose weapon from the Louisiana Raging Cajuns. I already mentioned Will Jados, a really, really talented offensive lineman. These are big-time portal guys. Reggie Virgil, originally from the state of Florida, talented, tall track athlete, went to Miami, Ohio, and really excelled alongside Will Jados, who I just mentioned. Oh, Cole Wisniewski, the tall, super versatile
From North Dakota
safety
State
slash linebacker. I mean, you can go on and on with these names. This was a absolutely insane portal haul, and I think Cash Cleveland, to get one of your rivals, one of the teams trying to win your conference, get their pivot, one of their leaders, their true freshman All-America, and put them on your side of the ball. Very, very big move. It's going to be interesting to see what happens to Sheridan Wilson, fan favorite there at Texas Tech at center. Does he move to guard? Does he sit there and compete? I don't know, but all I know is that this team is going all in. You got a veteran quarterback who is ready to make some plays behind a totally revamped offensive line with new weapons at receiver and tight end, and a running back who's going to really get it done, replacing Taj Brooks.
All right, so moving along here, a program that we literally just mentioned a couple of days ago. We're talking about Henry Ollinger committing to them. Indiana, big fans of what Coach Cignetti's doing over there. And we said, look, Ollinger was commitment number 2 for this class, would expect things to get rolling. And that's exactly what happened. Is Casimir Hicks, top 5 player, top 3 player in the state of Indiana, cornerback from Decatur Central in Indianapolis, is staying home and going to play for the Hoosiers.
And Indiana had done so well with South Florida defensive backs, right? When you talk about D'Angelo, Pons, Sharp, all those guys, but now keeping it local in Indianapolis, Indiana, Decatur Central High School with Casimir Hicks, 5'11", 170, offers from Illinois, Michigan State, Northwestern, Purdue, Wisconsin, a couple SEC schools like Missouri. So this is someone who had broad interest, ranks as number 41 cornerback, probably the high 3-star range. We'll see if he can get into the 4-star range with a good season. But he really is a guy that took notice of the turnaround. Someone who grew up around the Indiana program, being an Indianapolis native, and he saw the change of perception, right? He said the coaches being new and coming in and turning a program around so fast shows just how good of a coaching staff they are. He said it's not easy to turn around a program that fast. To go from 3-9 to 11-2 and make the playoffs is incredible. Obviously it is. And Pete, as you pull up the film on this guy, you look at the just total production, offense, defense, special teams, state championship at Decatur, 4 interceptions on defense, 2 for touchdowns, also returned 2 kicks for touchdowns, ran the ball, caught 13 touchdowns receiving. This is an all-purpose type of athlete. And when you're looking at the cornerback position, I like guys that are so athletic that you can't just put them at an island and say, play corner. Because at high school level, that doesn't help you as much as it does at other levels. You have an athlete like that in high school, you want them catching, you want them returning, you want them doing all the things that we're seeing here on the state.
And Hicks was not the only pickup that Indiana actually had on the day, as Jacob Savage, linebacker, as well, committed. I'm going to pull up his page here, and he's another top guy in his state. So a top 5 player in the state of Kentucky. And listen, you want to be able to keep these guys. It's not in your home state, but if you can get top 5, top 10 players in each state, I mean, you're on the right track.
No doubt. And look, we were talking about Aiden Fisher the other day, trying to replace him. You added Henry Ollinger at running back / linebacker, looking more like a linebacker. We did a video on that one. If you haven't seen it, by the way, Indiana fans, like and subscribe. We've been doing Indiana content ever since we started this channel. Just love what Cignetti and the boys are doing up there. Fernando Mendoza, a guy we've watched since high school, excited to watch his career develop. But did a video on Ollinger, who's kind of that running back / linebacker who can do a lot of things, trying to replace an Aiden Fisher, who was also an offensive player in high school. Then you look at Savage, 6'1", 219, Ryle High School in Union, Kentucky.
Another guy who plays both sides of the ball.
Yeah, Pete, pull up some film on Savage here. But I think with Indiana, you're not always going to get the biggest and fastest players. That you're getting bigger and faster, but you're not always going to get that type of player just because Ohio State is there, Notre Dame's there, Penn State. Just this is the reality of the college football world. But what you can do is get versatile, good football players who are not afraid to be coached. And that's what they took from James Madison, and that's what they're doing here. Look at the ability and coverage here. This is something that I think separates linebackers at the high school level. So you're trying to make the transition to college. You can't just be a guy that has some hard hits, does a bench press on your high school video. You have to be able to be fluid and make plays in the passing game, particularly when you got teams. You got Bryce Underwood you got to deal with. Notre Dame now is becoming more of a passing-oriented offense. Ohio State, say no more. They are a passing attack like no other. So you got some really good passing attacks in the Big Ten. Oregon's going to pass the ball. You need linebackers that can match up with those talented safeties. And this guy right here, you see the click and close ability, the speed. They've done a really, really nice job on defense. Most of those guys, again, were guys they recruited at James Madison that ended up being stars for them, like Kamara and Fisher. But you got to keep that going, and that level of evaluation and just eye for talent and eye for system fits that you had at James Madison carried right over to Indiana, because all the guys they pick up, they just seem to have more athleticism than you think, great instincts. I mean, look how fast he sees it in attacks. This is a pure linebacker projection, not someone you have to worry about moving up from edge. Sometimes you see with these bigger guys are playing edge and you say, okay, they'll be a linebacker in college. Doesn't always work that way. This is someone who's playing college, can read, react. And when he sees it, he trusts his eyes. He gets downhill in a hurry.
Yeah, so love what Indiana's doing right now on the recruiting trail. And again, now in the last few days here have picked up a few guys. Rodney White actually also committed yesterday on the defensive line as well. So 3 commits here for Indiana in 2 days. And then going back to Henry Ollinger earlier in the week, now 4 commits on the week for the Hoosiers. So great run here for Indiana. And like we said earlier in the week on the Ollinger show, and you kind of just alluded to, don't expect these classes. I don't expect these classes to be top 20 classes consistently, top 25 classes, but you hit on the right evaluations and you coach these guys up, which we understand that coaching staff has trust in their abilities to win with, whatever they've got, so to speak. And you're going to be on the right path. And
by the way, as you know, Pete, because we did a million videos on these guys over the winter portal haul, these guys did some incredible work in the portal as well. Now, these players, these high school players, you're not going to see them until the 26th season. But what Indiana did in that winter portal window is going to give them a chance to keep the pressure on. You talk about the offensive line with guys like Pat Coogan, right? Holden stays at tight end. Obviously, Fernando Mendoza, who we love, Mekhi Jackson.
Roman Hemby, a running back.
Oh, yeah. Big, fast. They've been doing some serious work. Amarian Knighton, another South Florida defensive back, who I think is going to fit right in with guys like Pons and Sharp. They did some serious work, and excited to see where this develops with Indiana. I don't think this is a one-year fluke. So looking at a story that I think caught both of our attention, both of ours attention, and that is Bill Belichick, North Carolina, getting a running back to reclassify here. And a lot of times with these reclassifications, you kind of say, well, is this guy ready to, step up a little earlier than maybe we thought? Sometimes it's guys who were held back earlier in their schooling lives, and maybe it's catching back up to the grade they should be in. Jalen McGill, running back from Mountain View Prep, is someone who I don't think we're going to have to worry about the physical side of things here. As you see him with Coach Belichick. And this is a guy who's reclassifying, was supposed to be in the 2026 class, but is now going to be enrolling pretty shortly here in Chapel Hill. Yeah, Bill Belichick, he's got strong legs. We saw him balancing his girlfriend there at the beach on his legs, so he could talk to Jalen McGill about his leg routine. 3-time South Carolina state champion at weightlifting, broke the state record with a 610-pound squat as a sophomore, also bench press 420 pounds. I mean, this guy is just an absolute monster from Mountain View Prep in Spartanburg, South Carolina, 5'10", 215. He's going to be coached by Natron Means. Natron Means Business, you may remember from the NFL, and similar type of running style here, just tremendously physical, hard to tackle. I mean, how do you get your arms around a guy with a 610-pound squat? And then what I see on these highlights more than anything, the speed is real with this guy. So it is not just a big burly profile. Yes, he has that strength to him, but there is legitimate speed here. You see him again. There's the tackle breaking, but he's running away from guys. And you look at these commitments for North Carolina on offense at running back. Clearly, they're trying to bring competition into the room. They don't care about guys transferring. I think they're just going to let these guys battle it out and see who the loser is and who the winner is. But you look at the running back position, Damon June, Jeriel Cobb, JoJo Troop from Tampa, Florida. You talk about from Louisiana, Jalen Nichols. So they've brought in a lot of running backs even before Jalen McGill reclassified. So that's going to be a battle. But if you ask me, and we've seen pretty much all these videos because we've done so much North Carolina content. Again, if you're a North Carolina fan, like and subscribe to this channel. I would say the best clips I've seen and best athletic profile I've seen is McGill to me.
Yeah. And you got Davion Goss there too.
Yeah. The guy we've watched since he was a kid down here in South Florida. McGill, you also see him blocking, which he has that ability. I don't think he's going to be a fullback necessarily, but you do see him blocking on these clips. When you have a 610-pound squat, you're probably a pretty good lead blocker as well. So if you need to play him with a Davion Goss or some other of your young running backs, you can do that. But really, to me, size, speed, balance, obviously work ethic. If you're squatting 6'10", it's not something you wake up and doing. You have to work to get to that number. I think this guy, none of these guys that the North Carolina is bringing out are rated as 4-star running backs, but this one right here to me is a 4-star type running back. When you look at the profile, the size, and the film, I think he plays right away. Great decision in my view to reclass. Bill Belichick's not trying to win tomorrow. This guy's in his 60s. He's trying to win right now, and I think McGill gives him a chance to run the ball right now. And I think he's someone who's going to make an instant impact on this North Carolina ball club.
Now, the news of the day yesterday, I would say in terms of recruiting, was without a doubt what we're going to get to here, D. And you hear about Oregon and flips a lot, but it's normally players flipping to the Ducks, right? And this was not the case with one of the top tackles in the country, Cody Green, as he flipped his commitment from Oregon to Washington.
Yeah, this is the highest rated recruit for the Washington Huskies in a decade. 5-star player, number 4 offensive tackle, 6'6", 290, out of Mater Dei in California, the powerhouse that we're all familiar with. But he's actually originally from Washington, went to Sammamish, Washington Eastside Catholic High School until he was a sophomore, then goes to Mater Dei to play football. So he's a Washington native flipping from the rival Oregon to the Huskies. He said the visit to Washington was awesome. Got me thinking how special going home would be. He says family's everything. So being able to stay home and play with my brother, his brother Caden, who's a freshman defensive back with the Huskies, stay true to my roots and create something truly special at home is a feeling in my heart I can't describe. My brother and I grew up dreaming about becoming dogs together someday. Had conversations with my family, my dad, praying, and now he's going to stay home and be a dog. So just an incredible pickup. You'll pull up the film here, Pete, but
yep.
Basketball player, 80-inch wingspan, 5-star. Shout out to Michael Switzer, then Marcus Griffin and Matt Doherty in the recruiting department, everybody who had a hand in this, because if you're Washington and you're Jet Fish, these are battles that you absolutely have to win. You think about Josh Connerly from the state of Washington, just got drafted in the first round, signed with Oregon. Can't have history repeat itself, and Washington was able to keep their stud tackle home in this instance.
Yeah, I mean, look at this film here, man. And again, this is Mater Dei, so it's big time competition. Guys like this are coming into the next level ready to play, right? They're prepped a certain way at that program. This is you see future first rounder written all over this guy.
Yeah, what jumps out to me here is the pop, right? Just the twitch to get into guys. He's not 330 pounds right now, but his ability to explode into the block, explode through his hips with fast twitch muscle and aggression and then knock guys back. That jumps out. He's able to do it in space. He's able to do it just down blocking. He just has that natural pop to him and athleticism. That's hard to coach. He can get stronger in the weight room. He's basketball player, so he's going to be focused on football and gaining weight. But that natural ability is hard. He's been well coached at Mater Dei. And again, I go back to Josh Connerly because we saw him get drafted yesterday in the first round. That guy should have been a Washington Husky, right? He grew up in the Seattle area, ends up going to the rival, winning a lot of games for Oregon, starting a lot of games, and going first round. If you're Washington, you need to keep that type of player home, and they're doing that here with Cody Green. Just a major, major pickup. And there's a lot of good players in Washington, man. There's a lot of good players in that state. Washington, the Huskies have produced a lot of first-round talent, so they have that. They can hang their hat on that, and they could sell guys like Cody Green. And I think this is just an unbelievable pickup. And if you're Oregon, you're pretty bummed to lose a player like this. They're in on some 5-star tackles. They're in on Cantwell. They're in on a few of these 5 stars. But this guy's close to home. I know he's going closer to home in Washington, but he's a Pacific Northwest guy. This is a battle you could have won. You had him committed, but Washington just ended up pulling the heartstrings and getting it done.
Well, and just last week, Washington got a quarterback commitment from Derek Zammit, who had a good showing at the Under Armour All-American game. We've actually done a video on him on this channel when Bill Belichick, I want to say he was one of the first quarterbacks that Bill Belichick offered in the high school ranks for the next recruiting class at the time when he had first started at North Carolina. So nice class coming together for the Huskies right now. Number 19 ranked. Obviously, the Cody Green commitment bumps them up a few spots there, and he's their highest rated commitment by far at this point. But nine commits in the class, and you've gotten now your centerpiece as your 5-star tackle in this class and your quarterback that you hope to build around in Derek Zammit from DePaul Catholic in New Jersey, who's a top 5 player in the state, and a top 20 quarterback, give or take, in the country.
Yeah, you got Damon Williams, right? Young player who is an outstanding quarterback for the future. Not the biggest guy in the world, so you hope you can keep him maybe for all 4 years and win a lot of games with him under center. So things to me are looking pretty good up in the Pacific Northwest. Shout out to Jed Fish, Matt Doherty, again, the whole team for doing a good job getting guys in California and other places in Arizona, keeping the talent that's in Washington home. And who knows, they could start going east soon. This is a program on the rise.
All right, everyone. Appreciate you all for joining us live today. Remember to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. We'll see you guys next week, and we'll see, man, maybe something crazy happens here this afternoon. If someone unexpected pops in the portal, I'll bring you an update. I know D's going to be on an international flight, so I'm going to have you guys covered. But if the name's big enough, I'll be there.
Who knows what could happen, man? Like and subscribe. Appreciate you.